Ghost SHIP, void between stars held secrets that civilizations had long since stopped seeking. In the lightless expanse where no sun's warmth penetrated and no planet offered sanctuary, the derelict drifted. The UHS Kronos hung motionless against the cosmic dark, a titan of burnished titanium and composite alloys that gleamed dully in the distant starlight. No running lights, no energy signature. For 3 centuries, it had been invisible to every scanner in known space until today. Salvage. Master Krellfax of the Carithian Consortium watched the human vessel materialize on his view screen, and his 3 hearts quickened with predatory excitement. By the ancients, breathed his navigator, mandibles clicking in astonishment. It's intact. Completely intact. Krellfax leaned forward in his command throne, his chitinous fingers drumming against the armrest. The database identified the vessel's configuration immediately. Olympus-class experimental warship, commissioned by the long-dead Terran Federation. The historical files labeled it lost during humanity's final war, the conflict that had rendered Earth uninhabitable and scattered its people to the stars. Before their inevitable extinction. Begin. Scanning for competitors, Krellfax ordered, and prepare boarding teams. Whatever technology that ship contains, it belongs to whoever claims it first. His crew moved with practiced efficiency, but they weren't alone in the void. Within the hour, 3 other vessels had arrived, a Voltorian science ship, a Syndicate raider, and most troubling, a hegemony dreadnought bearing the crimson, insignia of the galactic peacekeepers. The com channels erupted in a babel of competing claims and threats. This is Captain Jorath of the hegemony vessel Righteous Mandate. All parties are ordered to withdraw. This derelict represents a potential hazard and falls under hegemony jurisdiction. Negative. Hegemony, interrupted a Voltorian voice, smooth and synthetic. Our research charter grants us primary claim to all pre-collapse artifacts. The human vessel predates current salvage treaties. Krellfax muted the bickering and focused on his tactical display. The hegemony dreadnought was moving to establish a blockade position, but they were slow ponderous. If he acted now, launch boarding pods. Full complement. Move. The Carithian attack was swift and decisive. Magnetic grapples latched onto the Kronos' hull before anyone could respond, and cutting torches began their work. Within minutes, Krellfax's S-Elite salvage team had breached the outer airlock. Team leader Vexenar reported through the com, his voice crackling with interference. Atmospheric integrity maintained inside. Composition: nitrogen-oxygen mix. Gravity at Earth standard. Master, this ship has power. Impossible, Krellfax hissed. It's been dead for 300 years. Nevertheless, environmental systems are active. Emergency lighting is wait. Movement. I'm detecting movement in Sector 7. The com filled with static, then the unmistakable sound of weapons fire. Vexenar's voice rose to a panicked shout. They're alive. The crew is alive. Fall back. The transmission cut to silence. On every ship surrounding the Kronos, sensor arrays suddenly blazed with warnings. The derelict's reactor signature spiked from dormant to active in the span of a heartbeat. Running lights flickered to life along its 3-kilometer length, illuminating the vessel in brilliant white radiance. Deep within the ship, in a chamber sealed behind 7 meters of reinforced bulkheads, Commander Elena Vasquez opened her eyes. The cryopod released her with a hiss of equalizing pressure. She gasped, lungs burning as they remembered how to process oxygen. Her muscles screamed in protest as she forced herself upright, medical nanits flooding her system to counteract 3 centuries of suspended animation. Status report, she croaked, her voice rough from disuse. The ship's AI responded immediately, its voice unchanged by the years. Commander Vasquez? Kronos A, I welcoming you back to active duty. Current date, November 17th, 2387. You have been in stasis for 314 years, 7 months, and 23 days. Elena's mind reeled. 300 years. The mission had called for a 50-year jump, just long enough to skip past the war, to preserve Earth's most advanced technology until humanity could rebuild. Crew status? 47 personnel in cryostasis. All viable. Revival cycle initiated for essential command staff. Why did we wake up? Foreign intrusion detected. Hostile salvage operations in progress. Defense protocols activated. Elena staggered to the command terminal, pulling up external feeds. The screen showed her nightmare made manifest. Her ship surrounded by alien vessels, cutting teams breaching the hull, and worst of all, no Terran ships. No Federation fleet. No sign of humanity anywhere. Where is the rally fleet? Where's the rendezvous? No Terran signals detected within sensor range. Kronos database indicates Human Federation dissolved in 2098. Earth, status quarantined. Human colonies, scattered. Technological regression detected across all known settlements. Galactic assessment. Humanity categorized as extinct civilization, technological remnants only. The words hit harder than any weapon. Elena gripped the console, knuckles white. 300 years hadn't saved humanity. It had abandoned them. Behind her, cryopods opened in sequence. Lieutenant Marcus Chun, Chief Engineer Dmitry Volkov, Weapons Officer Keiko Tanaka, and Medical Officer James Morrison staggered out, each processing the same devastating truth. Captain? Marcus's voice was hollow. What do we do? Elena straightened, years of military discipline overwhelming her shock. We survive. AI, hostile intruders' current location? Multiple teams throughout the ship. Corythian salvagers. Weapons, primitive kinetic and plasma-based. Threat level, minimal. Seal all sections they've breached. Vent atmosphere in compromised corridors. Non-lethal if possible, but protect the ship. Acknowledged. Throughout the Kronos, bulkheads slammed shut with pneumatic force. The Corythian salvagers barely had time to scream before the floors opened beneath them, magnetic fields guiding them into containment cells. Their weapons, state-of-the-art by current galactic standards, failed to even scratch the hull's reactive armor. On his bridge, Krelfax watched in horror as every one of his boarding teams vanished from sensors. Get them back. Get them. The Kronos moved, not with thrusters or conventional drives, but with something that made reality itself bend. The massive warship simply wasn't where it had been, reappearing 500 kilometers distant in the blink of an eye. Gravitic distortions rippled outward, sending smaller vessels tumbling through space. Captain Jorath of the Hegemony Dreadnought recovered first. All ships, combat formation. That vessel is now classified as a rogue threat. Prepare to fire. Helena's voice cut through every channel simultaneously, speaking in perfect hegemonic standard. Corythian trade tongue, Valtorian synthetic code, and a dozen other languages. This is Commander Elena Vasquez of the United Human Systems Warship Kronos. You have 30 seconds to withdraw to minimum safe distance. This is your only warning. Impossible, Jorath breathed. Humans are extinct. 20 seconds. The Syndicate raider opened fire, first a mistake. Lance beams that could core a battleship struck the Kronos and simply ceased to exist. Absorbed by defensive, fields that hadn't been theoretically possible until decades after they were built. Elena's fingers danced across tactical controls that responded to neural interface. Her command staff finding their stations through muscle memory unchanged by centuries. Keiko, weapons status? Quantum disruptors online. Temporal torpedoes loaded. Singularity mines deployed? Captain, We're showing weapons configurations that aren't even in our original specs. The ship, it's different. AI, what modifications occurred during stasis? Automated repair systems utilized theoretical research from pre-departure archives. Kronos has upgraded itself to specifications intended for Phase 3 development. Current capabilities exceed original design parameters by 400%. Elena allowed herself the ghost of a smile. Even in sleep, human ingenuity had marched forward. Asterisk, time's up, she said quietly. The Kronos didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, it did something the galaxy hadn't witnessed in living memory. It activated its proto-dimensional drive. Space-time folded. The human warship existed in 4 dimensions simultaneously, phasing through the physical universe while maintaining tactical awareness. To the stunned alien fleets, the Kronos became a ghost there, and not there. Impossible to target, impossible to fight, and then it was simply gone, slipping into a dimensional pocket that no sensor could penetrate. Asterisk. Sensors detecting 7 major colonies, maybe 24 minor outposts. Captain, they're primitive. Pre-space flight in some cases. They've been alone so long, they forgot how to reach the stars. Then we remind them, Elena said, because we didn't sleep 300 years to watch humanity die quietly. She pulled up a priority signal from the Vega sector, a distress call in ancient Federation code, crackling through the void like a voice from the grave. New Terra colony to any Terran forces. We are under attack. Krullian Dominion fleet approaching. We have no defenses. This is our final transmission. If anyone can hear this, the message ended abruptly. Elena's jaw set. Helm, plot course for New Terra. Maximum speed. Captain, we'd be heading into a war zone. We're one ship. One ship, Elena agreed, her eyes reflecting the starlight beyond the view screen. But we're the one ship they never expected to face. The one ship that represents everything humanity was and everything will be again. The Kronos emerged from dimensional fold space like a silver arrow, accelerating to speeds that would have torn lesser vessels apart. Behind them, the galaxy stirred dot in command centers across 1,000 worlds. Analysts scrambled to revise 3 centuries of settled assumptions. The humans weren't extinct, and worse, far worse, their technology had never stopped advancing. The ghost ship had awakened dot, and it was going to war. Asterisk echoes of Terra dropped out of fold space at the edge of the Vega system. And Elena Vasquez immediately understood why. New Terra had gone silent. Her view screen showed a planet under siege. Terra hung like a blue-green jewel against the void. But that beauty was marred by the orbital presence of 53 warships bearing the angular, brutal architecture of the Krullian Dominion. Drop pods streaked through the atmosphere like falling stars, and Elena's scanners detected widespread weapons fire across 3 continents. Population? She asked quietly. Marcus checked his console. Approximately 2 million humans planet-side. No orbital defenses. No shipbuilding capability. Captain, they're using chemical propellants and combustion engines. They've regressed to early 21st century technology. 300 years of isolation, Dmitri muttered from the engineering station. Cut off from the Federation. No support, no resources. They survived by forgetting. Elena studied the tactical display with a commander's eye. The Krullian fleet had established a standard occupation pattern. Heavy cruisers in high orbit, frigates maintaining atmospheric blockade, and troop transports shuttling ground forces planet-side. It was textbook, and against any current human capability. It was unbeatable. The Com officer Lieutenant Sarah Park, freshly awakened from cryo, spoke up. Captain, I'm picking up encrypted Krullian military channels. Translating now. She paused, her face paling. They're not here to conquer. They're here to harvest. Explain. The Dominion specializes in labor acquisition. They're taking the population as slaves for their mining colonies. Current estimates: 80% casualties during collection, remainder transported off-world for processing. The bridge fell silent. 2 million people. A number Elena couldn't quite process: faces, families, the last remnants of a civilization that had once reached for the stars. Options? She asked. Keiko shook her head from weapons. Captain, they outgun us 50-1. Even with our tech advantage, that's suicide. Did I ask for an assessment of survivability, Lieutenant? I asked for options. Keiko's posture straightened. Yes, ma'am. We could hit and run target their command ship, cripple coordination. Or, she hesitated, or we could activate protocol threshold. Every officer on the bridge turned to look at Elena. Protocol threshold. The weapon system so classified that only the command crew knew it existed. The reason the Chronos had been built in the first place. AI? Elena said carefully. Current status of threshold systems? Quantum entanglement weapons array, fully operational. Temporal manipulation field generators, charged to 100%. Gravitational singularity projectors, online. Warning: protocol threshold utilization will reveal human technological capabilities to all observing parties. Galactic response: unpredictable. There it was. The choice that would define everything that came after. Use humanity's most advanced weapons and announce to the galaxy that humans weren't just alive, they were apex predators. Or watch 2 million people die while keeping their secrets hidden. Elena thought of Earth, quarantined and dying. She thought of human colonies scattered across the stars, each one vulnerable, each one alone. She thought of 300 years spent dreaming in cryosleep while humanity forgot how to fly. Dmitri, how many other ships like the Chronos were built? The engineer consulted his historical files. 7 Olympus-class vessels commissioned. Chronos, Hyperion, Titan, Prometheus, Atlas, Aegis, and Olympus herself. All lost or presumed destroyed during the collapse. Presumed destroyed, Elena repeated. Or in cryostasis, waiting for the right signal to wake up. Understanding dawned on Marcus's face. You're going to use us as a beacon. New Terra doesn't just need rescue, Elena said. Humanity needs a symbol. Proof that we're not extinct, not helpless, not finished. They need to see what we're capable of. She turned to face her crew. This is what we were built for. Not to hide until humanity recovered, but to remind everyone, including ourselves, what humans are capable of when we stop accepting defeat. She opened ship-wide communications. All hands, this is the captain. In approximately 10 minutes, we're going to engage an enemy fleet that outnumbers us 50-1. They expect easy prey. They're about to learn why humanity didn't stay extinct. Elena settled into the command chair, neural interface linking her consciousness directly to the ship's systems. The Chronos responded like an extension of her own body. Keiko, activate protocol threshold. Full weapons release. Marcus, helm control to my station. Sarah, broadcast on all frequencies. I want everyone watching this. Captain, Sarah said, everyone includes not just the Krullians, but every major power monitoring this sector. The hegemony, the Voltorians, the Syndicate, good, Elena interrupted. Let them all see? The Chronos emerged from the system's outer darkness, like a silver ghost materializing from nightmare. Alarms screamed aboard every Krellian vessel as their sensors finally registered the human warship, but by then, it was already too late. Fleet Admiral Cross of the Krellian Dominion barely had time to process the impossible sensor readings before his flagship's tactical. AI delivered its assessment. Unknown vessel. Configuration matches extinct Terran Federation design. Threat level. Error. Threat level. Error. Threat level. Maximum. All ships. Combat formations. Cross roared. Concentrate fire on that? The Kronos activated its quantum entanglement weapons array. In a universe where faster than light, communication remained impossible for most civilizations. Humanity had cracked quantum entanglement on a macro scale. The result was weaponry that didn't travel through space. It simply appeared at its target. Already detonating. 15 Krellian ships exploded simultaneously. Their shields useless against weapons that bypassed the concept of distance entirely. But that was just the opening move. Elena activated the temporal manipulation fields, and reality bent. Around the Kronos, a sphere of altered spacetime expanded 1 second inside equaled 1 hour outside. The human ship moved with impossible speed, weaving through the Krellian formation, while the return fire crawled through distorted time like insects trapped in amber. Gravitational projectors. Elena commanded. Keiko armed the singularity weapons devices that created miniature black holes with precisely calculated lifespans. 3 heavy cruisers attempting to flank the Kronos found themselves pulled together by irresistible gravitational force, collapsing into a screaming tangle of metal before the singularities evaporated. Harmlessly, the Krellian fleet scattered in panic. Ships designed for conquest and occupation couldn't comprehend an enemy that treated physics like a friendly suggestion rather than an absolute law. Admiral Cross tried to rally his forces. It's one ship. Concentrate all firepower. The Kronos phased through his flagship's shields using dimensional fold technology, peered directly above the command spire, and fired a single kinetic penetrator moving at 0.9 C90%. The speed of light. The flagship didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, converted to a cloud of constituent atoms in a MIC ROSEC OND.37 ships remained. They fled. The Kronos let them run, broadcasting on every frequency. This is Commander Elena Vasquez of the United Human Systems. To the Krellian Dominion, you have violated the sovereign territory of New Terra. You have 60 seconds to evacuate all ground forces and exit this system. If you comply, you will be permitted to leave. If you resist... She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Asterisk. The Krellian ships scrambled for fold space, abandoning their ground troops in headlong retreat. Within 3 minutes, the orbital space above New Terra was clear of enemy vessels. On the planet's surface, 2 million humans stared at their screens in disbelief as the impossible unfolded above them. The elderly, who still remembered stories of the Federation, wept. The young, who had grown up believing humanity's greatness was ancient mythology, felt something long dormant stir in their hearts. Hope. The Kronos descended through the atmosphere in a controlled descent that defied every conventional physics model. Elena landed her vessel in the main plaza of New Terra's capital, and when the boarding ramp lowered, she walked out to face her people. They were shorter than Federation humans. 3 centuries of poor nutrition had taken its toll. Their technology was primitive, their cities small, their ships absent. But when Elena looked into their faces, she saw something that 300 years hadn't erased. She saw humanity. The crowd parted for an elderly woman, spine bent with age, who approached with tears streaming down her face. She wore a tarnished medallion that Elena recognized, a Federation service medal, passed down through generations as a family heirloom. "We thought you'd never come," the woman whispered. "We thought we were forgotten." Elena knelt, meeting the woman's eyes. "We were asleep, but we're awake now, and we remember everything." She stood, addressing the crowd that had grown to thousands. 300 years ago, humanity faced extinction. We scattered. We regressed. We survived by forgetting how powerful we were. But that ends today. Elena pulled up a holographic display that showed the Kronos' sensor readings, not just of New Terra, but of every human settlement across the galaxy. 7 major colonies, 23 outposts, millions of humans clinging to survival on forgotten worlds. Out there, in the black, there are 6 more ships like mine, sleeping, waiting, and we're going to wake them up. We're going to remember how to build, how to fly, how to fight. We're going to show this galaxy that humanity never died. We just took a very long nap. As if in answer to her words, the Kronos' long-range sensors pinged. Marcus's voice came through her neural link. Captain, we just detected a powerful energy signature from the Andromeda sector. Configuration matches. It matches Olympus-class specifications. One of the other ships just activated. Elena smiled. The beacon was working. Across the galaxy, in hidden places and forgotten orbits, ancient vessels stirred. Reactors flickered to life. Cryopods began their warming cycles. Crews that had slept through humanity's darkest age opened their eyes to find a changed universe. And in command centers from the hegemony core worlds to the furthest syndicate outposts, species that had grown comfortable in humanities. Absence watched the sensor feeds with mounting dread. The extinct race had returned, and they had brought weapons that made gods look primitive. Elena stood in New Terra's plaza as the sun set, painting the sky in colors of amber and gold. Children approached the Kronos with wide eyes, touching its hull with reverent wonder. Engineers examined its systems with hungry fascination. Soldiers stood straighter, remembering what their ancestors had been. Captain, Sarah reported from orbit, we're receiving transmissions from 63 alien governments. They all want the same thing, to talk. Let them wait, Elena said. Right now, we have more important work. Marcus, begin plotting courses to every human settlement. Dmitri, I want those schematics for the Kronos distributed to every colony. Let's start rebuilding our fleet. Keiko, draft a message for transmission on all human frequencies, encoded in old Federation standard. What should it say, Captain? Elena looked up at the darkening sky, where stars were beginning to emerge, stars that held human worlds, human dreams, human futures. It should say, we are the children of Terra. We fell, but we did not break. We slept, but we have awakened. And to anyone who would prey on us, who would enslave us, who would write humanity's obituary, she turned back to face the Kronos, its hull gleaming in the twilight. A monument to human defiance carved in titanium and will. Tell them the funeral is canceled. Humanity is back, and we brought receipts for 300 years of grief. Far above, in the black between stars, 6 more ancient vessels stirred from their long sleep, drawn by the Kronos' call. And in their wake, humanity began to remember what it meant to be the species that looked at the impossible and simply asked, but what if we tried anyway? The galaxy was about to find out. Asterisk.